So I'm here with Dr. Teresa Mular. She's a brilliant filmmaker that's got a trilogy of documentaries and a short comedy that's in competition at our festival here in Warsaw. But what I really would like to talk to her today is another documentary which has just been released. I think 48 minutes, Can't Stop the Sun from Shining. I really loved it. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
I suppose, and it's effectively about four women, isn't it? Four women that are quite
Centenarian women.
Yeah. Well, sorry, if you could explain.
Yeah,
it.
No, it's the story of four strikingly strong and inspiring women. Originally, I wanted to do 100 plus. That means finding
them,
and not necessarily women. I was looking anyone, but I had to lower the bar because I couldn't get that many 100 plus that were still, able to converse and answer questions. So I lowered the bar, and I didn't want to go any lower than 94. So it was easier to find them.
And how did you find them, and why did you choose the four that you chose?
I found them. One I knew, the one who's 105. I know since 1983.
Right.
And so I've seen her for all those years. But really, amazingly, not aging mentally or spiritually.
Oh, it's incredible. The one that really struck me was the pianist.
Yeah, the pianist is also, she's the youngest. She's going to be 95 now in January. And she was referred to me by a sound engineer who works with artists in Carnegie Hall, outside Carnegie Hall. So when I mentioned to him that I was going to do this, he said, oh, he's interested in the topic of aging. And he said, he had a couple of people, and one of them was this lady, Ruth Slenshinska, and she was a young child prodigy in piano. So she also had written a book that I could only have access to at the Lincoln Center Library of Performing Arts.
Well, you had to go there to read it?
Yes, I had to go read it. They would not release it, and she didn't have a copy, or she didn't give me a copy of the book. So I wanted to read it. It's called The Forbidden Childhood, and she wrote it in the 1950s. And it's all about her parents and her father, who was so strong.
He was very strict, because that was touched on the film, wasn't it?
Very strict.
And
very strict.
There was, because I think she was born in 1925, and there's a great sequence of her playing the piano when she was like 6 or 7 years old. Something incredible.
Yes, she gave her first concert when she was 4.
Right.
He put her to the piano basically after birth.
Yeah.
Actually, the Baldwin was the piano she always played with, and they made a special. They raised the feet of the pedals because she was so little. She couldn't reach the pedals and play the piano at the same time. She was short, and she's very short. So they raised the pedals 6 inches for her, so she could play. So in that segment of the film where she's being interviewed when she was 4 or 5, she's playing with that Baldwin piano. Yeah.
And what about the other two ladies?
The other two
young ladies, I should say.
Yes, the Irish lady and the German lady were introduced to me directly by a friend of mine who's a pianist and who has done a lot of the music background for previous documentaries like The Muse of the Mountain, and he works also with in Now Boarding 2 as the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
So he went to Steinway Sons in New York City to the opening of this book that this particular lady who's in the movie wrote. So he said, she's 96 now, would you like to interview her? So I asked her, and she said yes before I moved permanently to Florida, which was like 2 days after I interviewed her.
Oh.
So she's now living in Florida.
So you got her just at the right time.
So I just got her at the right time.
How long is there a longer version, or is this?
No, this is
the one you wanted.
This is 47 minutes, yes.
And
47 minutes.
I'm assuming you shot hours and hours of footage, though.
Oh, I had quite a bit. I didn't count exactly, but I have quite a number of hours of interviews, and actually the longest is the pianist.
And, yeah. I mean, they're all interesting.
And she recognized this when I sent her the link. I said, "Did you like the movie?" And she said, "Oh, I did very much, but I am the one that's predominant over the other ladies, and that's not fair." She says, "I'm very little until I get to the stage, then I'm not so little."
No, she's very
yes,
powerful. She's amazing.
Powerful.
They're all amazing. One of the things that really interests me, because you do the voiceovers, don't you?
Yes.
And you're really good. You're really, really good, actually, because you've now got used to it.
I tried.
No, you're really good. But was that always your intention? I mean, no, don't get me wrong.
No,
don't
I don't
change
get you
it.
wrong.
Don't change
I think that
but
no,
it's interesting.
I think it's a leitmotif that has evolved in the process of the last 10 years that I'm doing films.
Yeah.
Just like I put aphorisms. It's a leitmotif.
Okay.
It's like the characteristic somehow that has developed in my films to introduce with a voiceover and to end with a voiceover. I have thought of, instead of speaking, just putting it in written, which is a different way. And actually, when I went to do the voiceover with this person who recommended the pianist, he's a sound engineer. He said, "I could do that too for you if you want." And I said, "Well, no, I'm sure you have better, you know."
No, I like that you do it. I think it works. It works really well.
Yeah.
Could you, so for those people that don't know, you're a doctor, you're a gynecologist.
Yeah.
Could your career, but I know you love music, and I know you love classical music, I know you're a pianist, you can play.
Yeah.
Could your life have been taken a different path? Or in terms of, was that something, did you ever think about a musical career? When you were younger?
Singing.
Right.
I studied voice in the conservatory in Buenos Aires, and I play the guitar and I sing.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I wanted to sing, but my parents didn't think that was going to be a career for me. And even though a woman in those days were not necessarily, following university careers, I did want also to be a doctor. But I studied voice, and these days the voice is much darker than when I started.
Yeah, because all our voices change. Mine the same.
Yes, so we're darker. And but I still enjoy singing tangos and singing, music from Brazil and France and Italy.
And do you mind me asking, when you first started at university and decided you wanted to become a doctor, was it quite unusual then for women to take that career? It's not unusual now, is it?
No, but yes, it was unusual. I was a minority there in Buenos Aires. I was a minority when I came here in 1972 as a surgeon, as a resident in our specialty. Most of the residents were men.
Yeah.
And most of the teachers and the attendings at the university were men. So it was. I was happy to have the possibility to work here, because it would have been much harder in South America with a patriarchal society. So women are not so easily accepted in the university ranks. So I was able to move up in the States to a level that I don't think I would have reached being in Buenos Aires.
And I love with the Wings of Time, the trilogy, or the 3 films you have here.
Yes.
It's a really affectionate look to me at where you came from and where you've got to, and looking back. And I always the impression I get is the love you have for that country, of course.
Yes.
That's
Because I think
it's
that,
quite overwhelming.
It's yes, it's even just smelling the air. You know, I don't know when you are in your own hometown if there is a special scent to the air, but I have this when I return to the streets, and I say, "Who? This is what I miss because it's not."
You know, home is where the heart is. I think that's
yeah,
true,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, and the trees and the sky. Well, the sky is always the same, but the trees are beautiful. They are called jacarandas. I think they are these violet flowers. It comes, I think, in Australia they have a lot in the Sydney. They have a lot of these trees, and I think in Africa, but they have them, and they're beautiful. So yes, there is a sense of belonging and yearning. When I left, I was very young when I finished medical school, but
because your accent is very strong. This is quite intriguing. And I mentioned this with my mother when she was from South Africa. She came to the UK in the 1950s, and her accent was like, obviously it's not yours as an Afrikaans, but her accent was incredibly strong. Yours is, because you really kept the accent.
Yes.
You know, and it's, so I can often pick up American accents in people from other countries where they live different, but yours I can't identify. It's very difficult.
I know. So in America they ask me always where I'm from, and in Argentina they ask me where I'm from.
Oh, do they?
Oh yes. When I go and if I go to dance tango or something, and a man will ask me to dance, and he will say, "So where are you from?" I said, "From here." No, I said, "Why not?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Because you speak very clearly." And I said, "Oh, I don't know. Maybe when I left I spoke worse, but I think I speak clearly." And then they said, "You don't dress like the women in Argentina." So I am not from there. I'm not from anywhere. I guess I am from somewhere up in the planet above us.
And with that love for your country, I mean, which is really palpable, I'm guessing that you've often considered going back there permanently or not.
I did, but the political situation is very unstable.
It's dangerous,
there. It's very, very difficult. And when I go, I have difficulties. There are general strikes. You cannot take a bus. You cannot take a car. And then banks don't work the way they work in America. And it's if you live all the time in a place, you adjust. But once you moved out to
it's hard.
A country like the United States,
it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah, of course it is, because you've grown up and you don't want that struggle, do you?
Yes.
It's aggravation. So with this film, so this is me going off peak. I do this all the time, Teresa. There could easily be an add-on to this, couldn't there? They could easily take this story in a new direction. You could talk to other women, other men. The subjects, and it's like the pianist. You could do a sequel or a life story. I mean, it's just endless. So, is there an ultimate direction with this? Do you have somewhere else you'd like to go with this film?
Well,
that you can talk about.
I thought, and quite frankly, when I was interviewing the pianist, I said, "You are so amazing that I could think about just doing a documentary about you alone."
Yeah.
But that would be a separate project, just taking some segments of this. But the other thought that I have is maybe interviewing men, not just women, in the same range, if I can find. And I'm sure there are. But I thought that
even though we die younger.
But there are still a lot. There are composers that. It's escaping my mind at this moment, but there are men that live long too, conductors, orchestra conductors, and pianists. So it's a matter of searching. I have to find them. Maybe I can find in New York or move around and go somewhere else and find them. I'm sure that's doable.
Carry on making these wonderful films. Thank you.
Thank you very much.